Good morning, kiddos. It's Friday. Let's get to birthdays on February 5th. We don't have any staff birthdays today, but we have several student birthdays. Naomi Anderson, happy birthday, Naomi. Happy birthday, Lucia de Leon Saspe. And happy birthday to Jesus Plaza Castro. Happy birthday as well to Jalen Alexander and Pablo Torres Francisco. And that is it for our student birthdays. Not only do you get a birthday on a Friday, but it's not as cold, thank goodness. I hope that you guys get to pick whatever you want for dinner. And because it's Friday, I am having pizza. So happy birthday. I hope you guys have the greatest day. We have some shout outs. Lacey Boyd wants us to know that Miss Huynh is an amazing teacher. Miss Huynh, you make class so fun and enjoyable. You crack jokes. You always talk to your kiddos about life and not just about school. I appreciate that, Miss Huynh, especially these days because, man, we're going through some stuff, right? So I appreciate you taking time to get to know the kids on a personal level. This is from Brian Quirino Rincon. He wants to shout out Amari. Remember Amari bought ice cream for everybody? I told you that yesterday. So Brianna wants everyone to know that she is super grateful to Amari for that. He is a very nice and generous person. Agree with you, Brianna. And then Miss Montero wants to give a big shout out to Van Coronel Flores. He has been working on his reteach, retest module since the first day it was assigned during help sessions. Awesome, Van. Good for you. He comes right in and he gets to work. Also, Adriana Cedaño has also impressed Miss Montero with her dedication and determination to complete her math module this week. She's going above and beyond, and she even works on it during her lunch period. Adriana, that type of persistence is going to get you places, girl. Good job. Thank you, Miss Montero, for shouting them out. And this is from Julianne Fee. She would like to shout out all her teachers, Miss Raderstorff, Mr. Flood, Mr. Rodriguez, Miss Beckwith, Miss Dorsey, and Miss Phillips. They are persistent and they are so kind to Julianne and to others, and they make class so fun. Agreed, Julianne. Our teachers at Duluth Middle School are amazing. Don't forget, next week starts our Spirit Week, and on Monday, we've got Pink and Red Day. So I want to see you in pink and red from, I said that wrong. I'm wrong. Monday is pajama day. So come in school appropriate pajamas on Monday. Tuesday is red and pink day. So I want to see you in red and pink from head to toe. Wednesday is hat day and Thursday is purple day. I can't wait to dress up next week. It's going to be so colorful. This is super duper cool. If you want to go to Europe, I think we are going to Austria, Germany, and Switzerland in the summer of 2022. So that's not this summer, but the next one. Miss Huynh is going to take a group of students to those countries next summer. And if you're interested in going, there is a meeting next Thursday, the 11th at 6 o'clock. We're going to post these little posters all over school, and we're going to send it to parents and email, and I will also put it on social media. So if you want to go to Europe with Miss Huynh, go to her meeting next Thursday at 6 p.m. to learn all about it. It's our last day of Counselors Week, and this is our last sweet little poster. School counselors care about each and every one of you. Thank you to Miss Colbert and Miss Jenkins for being so awesome and for supporting kids and teachers every single day. All right, guys, it's Black History Month. Our fun fact for the day is that the dance form of stepping originated in Africa. The African gumboot dance is credited as being stepping's biggest influence. I love stepping, and I can't wait till we get back to the days where we can have our step team hard at work at school and entertaining us. I'd like to read to you a little bit of a book. I'm not sure if I'm going to have time because my announcements have been getting way too long, I think. But let's see if we can get through this story. Henry's Freedom Box by Ellen Levine. Henry Brown wasn't sure how old he was. Henry was a slave, and slaves weren't allowed to know their birthdays. Henry and his brothers and sisters worked in the big house where the master lived. Henry's master had been good to Henry and his family, but Henry's mother knew things could change. Do you see those leaves blowing in the wind? They're torn from the trees like slave children are torn from their families. One morning, the master called for Henry and his mother. They climbed the wide staircase. The master lay in bed with only his head above the quilt. He was very ill. He beckoned them to come closer. Some slaves were freed by their owners. Henry's heart beat fast. Maybe the master would set him free. But the master said, "You're a good worker, Henry. I'm giving you to my son. You must obey him and never tell a lie." Henry nodded, but he didn't say thank you. That would have been a lie. Later that day, Henry watched a bird soar high above the trees. Free bird, happy bird, Henry thought. Henry said goodbye to his family. He looked across the field. The leaves swirled in the wind. Henry worked in his new master's factory. He was good at his job. "Do not tear that tobacco leaf," the boss yelled at the new boy. He poked the boy with a stick. If you made a mistake, the boss would beat you. Henry was lonely. One day he met Nancy, who was shopping for her mistress. They walked and talked and agreed to meet again. Henry felt like singing, but slaves didn't dare sing in the streets. Instead, he hummed all the way home. Months later, Henry asked Nancy to be his wife. When both their masters agreed, Henry and Nancy were married. Soon there was a little baby, then another, and another. Henry knew they were very lucky. They lived together, even though they had different masters. But Nancy was worried. Her master had lost a great deal of money. "I'm afraid he will sell our children," she said. Henry sat very still. Henry worked hard all morning. He tried to forget what Nancy had said. His friend James came into the factory. He whispered to Henry, "Your wife and children were just sold at the slave market." "No!" cried Henry. Henry couldn't move. He couldn't think. He couldn't work. "Twist that tobacco," the boss poked Henry. Henry twisted tobacco leaves. His heart twisted in his chest. At lunchtime, Henry rushed to the center of town. A large group of slaves was tied together. The owner shouted at them. Henry looked for his family. "Father, father!" Henry watched his children disappear down the road. Where was Nancy? He saw her the same moment she saw him. When he wiped away his tears, Nancy too was gone. Henry no longer sang. He couldn't hum. He went to work, and at night he ate supper and went to bed. Henry tried to think of happy times, but all he could see were the carts carrying away everyone he loved. He knew he would never see his family again. Many weeks passed. One morning, Henry heard singing. A little bird flew out of a tree into the open sky, and Henry thought about being free. But how? As he lifted a crate, he knew the answer. He asked James and Dr. Smith to help him. Dr. Smith was a white man who thought slavery was wrong. They met early the next day at an empty warehouse. Henry arrived with a box. "I will mail myself to a place where there are no slaves," he said. James stared at the box, then at Henry. "What if you cough and someone hears you?" "I will cover my mouth and hope." Dr. Smith wrote on the box, "To William H. Johnson, Arch Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania." Henry would be delivered to a friend's in Philadelphia. Then he printed on the crate in big letters, "This side up with care." Henry needed an excuse to stay home, or the work boss would think he had run off. James pointed to Henry's sore finger, but Henry knew it wasn't bad enough. He opened a bottle of oil of vitriol. "No!" cried James. Henry poured it on his hand. It burned his skin to the bone. Now the boss would have to let him stay home. Dr. Smith bandaged Henry's hand. They arranged to meet the next morning at 4 o'clock. The sun was not yet up when Henry climbed into the box. "Ready," he said. James nailed down the lid. Dr. Smith and James drove to the station. The railway clerk tipped the box over and nailed a paper to the bottom. Dr. Smith begged the clerks to be careful, but they didn't listen. They threw the box into the baggage car. Hours passed. Henry was lifted up and thrown again, upside down. He heard waves splashing. This must be the steamboat headed for Washington, D.C. The ship rode smoothly, but Henry was still upside down. Blood rushed to his head. His face got hot. His eyes ached. He thought his head would burst, but he was afraid to move. Someone might hear him. I'm tired of standing, someone said. Why don't we move that box and sit on it, said another. Henry held his breath. Could they be talking about his box? Henry was pushed. The box scraped the deck. Now he was on his right side, now on his left, and suddenly right side up. What do you think is in here, said the first man. Mail, I guess, said the other. I am mail, thought Henry, but not the kind they imagine. Henry was carried off the steamboat and placed in a railroad car, this time head up. He fell asleep to the rattling song of the train wheels. He woke to loud knocking. Henry, are you all right in there? All right, he answered. The cover was pried open. Henry stretched and stood up. 4 men smiled at him. Welcome to Philadelphia. He made it. Can you imagine having to go through a trip like that to be free? Thank you for listening. I'm sorry I went so long, but I just love to read these to you. I'll figure out a way to make them shorter. You guys have a wonderful Friday. Hang in there. You can do this. You can, you will. We'll support you every step of the way.